So, you know how much we love digging into user experience, right? UX design, all that good stuff.
It's everywhere these days.
It really is. And today, we're doing a deep dive on this super interesting Medium article. It's from September by Shafi. They're like a total UX guru, senior designer, the whole shebang.
Yeah, and they're tackling this really cool idea
Yeah.
that there's this whole other level to UX that you can't just learn from a book.
Right. It's all about, like, actually experiencing it.
Exactly. Like, think about anyone can read about design principles and best practices.
But actually using a product, running into those pain points.
Yeah.
That's where the real learning happens.
100%. And Shafi really emphasizes that UX isn't just about, like, making things look pretty.
Oh, it's so much more than that.
Right. It's about the entire user journey. Every interaction, every little detail, it all adds up to this overall experience. And sometimes, honestly, the most insightful moments come from when things go wrong.
Oh, tell me about it. Those frustrating experiences can be the biggest eye-openers.
Totally. And that actually reminds me of this anecdote Shafi shares in the article. It's about LinkedIn and, get this, their resume upload limit.
Oh no, don't tell me the dreaded 2 MB limit.
The one and only. You spend hours crafting the perfect resume and then bam, you get hit with that wall.
It's the worst. It makes you question your entire career trajectory just trying to upload a document.
And that's exactly Shafi's point. It's this tiny technicality that completely throws you off, disrupts the flow, makes you doubt yourself.
It makes you feel like you did something wrong when really it's the design that's failing you.
Exactly. And it highlights how crucial it is for UX designers to think about the user's emotional journey, not just the functional steps.
It's like they need to be asking, how does this design make the user feel? What are those moments of friction where they might get stuck or frustrated?
Yes. And that's where empathy comes in, which is something everyone's talking about these days.
Empathy, empathy, empathy. It's like the buzzword of the century. But how do you actually design for empathy?
Yeah.
It can't just be a trendy term you throw around.
Exactly. It has to be baked into the design process from day one.
Okay, so speaking of frustrating experiences, the other day I was trying to order food through this app, and let me tell you.
Oh, I'm so curious now. Lay it on me. What kind of app makes you want to throw your phone? Bad navigation.
Honestly, it was like every possible UX sin rolled into one app, you know?
I've been there, trust me. Okay, so walk me through it.
Okay, so first off, the search bar was like playing a cruel joke on me. I'm trying to find a restaurant.
Yeah.
And it keeps autocorrecting to places that are like on the other side of town.
Ugh, yeah, talk about starting off on the wrong foot.
Exactly. And then, once I finally wrestled my way through the search function and found the place I wanted, the menu, oh my God, the menu.
Don't tell me it's one of those giant walls of text. No pictures, no organization, just pure chaos.
You get me. My eyes literally started glazing over. It was like sensory overload in the worst way possible.
And then I bet the payment process was the cherry on top.
Don't even get me started. I finally found my food, right? Like, after scrolling through this endless list, feeling my soul slowly drain away.
I feel the pain.
So I'm ready to check out, and the app is like, hey, let's just enter all your credit card info again, even though it's saved to my profile.
Ugh, you're kidding. That's like UX 101, don't make your users jump through hoops at the last minute.
Seriously. At that point, I was so frustrated, I almost gave up and just ordered a pizza the old-fashioned way.
And that right there is exactly what Shapi's talking about. All those little annoyances, they add up to this massive UX fail. The search bar, the menu, the payment, it's like a case study in how not to design for your users.
Right. It's crazy how these tiny things can completely ruin the entire experience.
It's not tiny, though. That's the thing. It all comes back to user emotion. If your design is making people feel frustrated, confused, or like they want to pull their hair out, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. So how do we avoid those pitfalls? How do we design for a smoother, more enjoyable experience?
Well, that brings us to another really important point that Shafi makes, which is this idea that the best UX is almost invisible.
Invisible. What do you mean by that?
Like, think about those times when you're using a product or browsing a website and everything just kind of flows. You don't have to think about it. You just intuitively know what to do and how to do it.
Oh, okay, I get it. It's like when the design itself fades into the background and just lets you focus on what you're actually trying to do.
Exactly. And those are the experiences that we often remember as the most positive ones. But for UX designers, it actually creates a really interesting challenge. Well, if the best UX is invisible, how do you actually measure its success? How do you know if you're truly creating an experience that's seamless and intuitive for your users?
That's a good point. It's like, how do you measure something that you're not supposed to notice?
Exactly. It's this weird paradox. But There are definitely ways to approach it. One is through data analysis, things like how many people are dropping off at certain points in the user journey, how long is it taking them to complete specific tasks, are they making a lot of errors?
Right, so you're looking for those red flags in the data that might indicate a point of friction in the user experience.
Yeah. But data can only tell you so much, right? You need to combine that with qualitative feedback to really understand the why behind the numbers.
So you're talking about actually talking to users, getting their thoughts and feelings about their experiences.
Precisely. Things like user interviews, surveys, usability testing, they all provide invaluable insights into what users are thinking, feeling, and struggling with as they interact with your product.
It's like you're trying to get inside their heads and see the design through their eyes.
Exactly. It's about going beyond just asking, did it work? But really digging into the how and the why. So I'm curious, when you think about a really seamless, almost invisible digital experience, what comes to mind?
Oh man, there's this mobile banking app I use, and it's honestly the best. It's like it reads my mind or something. Depositing checks, paying bills, managing accounts. Everything is just so intuitive and easy.
And what is it about the design that you think makes it so effective?
You know, it's funny because I can't even really tell you. It's not like it's flashy or anything. It's actually quite minimalist, but it just works. It gets out of the way and lets me do what I need to do without any hassle.
See, that's the beauty of it. It doesn't need bells and whistles because it's so well designed.
Exactly. It just quietly does its job, and it does it exceptionally well. Do you have any experiences like that?
Totally. I have this travel booking website I use. It's amazing. It remembers my travel dates, my seat preferences, even suggests itineraries based on my past trips.
Well, it's like having a personal travel agent.
Right. It makes planning a trip almost enjoyable, which is a feat in itself.
It really is. You know, it's amazing how powerful good UX can be when it's done right. It can make even the most mundane tasks feel almost effortless.
Absolutely. And it all comes back to that challenge Shafi was talking about. How do we go beyond just the visual aspects of design and create these truly invisible, impactful experiences?
So where do we even begin?
Yeah.
How do you design for something that's not supposed to be noticed?
That's the million-dollar question, right? But I think Shafi's right when they say that it starts with a deep understanding of the user. It's about going beyond just the surface level and considering the emotional and contextual factors at play.
So like thinking about what state of mind the user might be in when they're interacting with your product. What are their motivations? What are their pain points?
Exactly. And even things like what kind of environment are they in? Are they on the go? Are they at home? All these factors can influence how they experience your design.
It's like you need to be a mind reader almost,
Yeah.
anticipating their needs before they even realize it themselves.
In a way, yes. And that's where it gets really interesting because it means that UX designers need to be continuous learners.
Continuous learners. What do you mean by that? Continuous learners. What do you mean by that?
Well, they need to be constantly evolving their understanding of human behavior, like they can't just rely on what they already know about design principles. They need to be digging into fields like psychology, behavioral science, maybe even art to really grasp how people interact with technology and design experiences that really resonate with them on a deeper level.
So it's not just about making things look pretty or even function properly. It's about understanding the psychology behind the user's actions.
Exactly. It's about getting inside their heads, figuring out what makes them tick. Like, think about a company like, say, Apple.
Oh yeah, they're known for their user experience.
Exactly. Their products just work, right, seamlessly. And that's not an accident. That
Yeah.
comes from paying really close attention to UX, from understanding human behavior and psychology. They've put a lot of thought into making their products intuitive and easy to use.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They've definitely mastered that whole invisible design thing we were talking about.
Right. They're a perfect example of it.
It really is incredible when you think about how much goes into crafting those seamless experiences, even if we don't always consciously realize it.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating field, and it's only going to become more critical as our world becomes even more intertwined with technology.
So true. Like Shafi was saying, the best way to truly get UX is to experience it firsthand, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Pay attention to those everyday digital interactions, what delights you, what makes you want to scream into the void.
I've definitely done my fair share of that lately.
We all have. But the important thing is to try to understand why those experiences make you feel the way they do. That's how you start to develop a more critical eye for what works and what doesn't in UX design.
It's like you're training your brain to think like a UX designer without even realizing it.
Exactly. You're becoming more aware of the design choices behind the products and services you use every day. And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire you to try your hand at designing some amazing user experiences of your own.
I'm not sure I'm ready to create the next award-winning app just yet, but this conversation has definitely been eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for the power of UX design.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's not just about aesthetics anymore, right? It's about shaping behavior, evoking emotions, and creating experiences that genuinely enhance people's lives.
Absolutely. It's been amazing having you here to break it all down for us.
The pleasure was all mine.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of UX design. It's been a wild ride.
Until next time.